This is Pod Populi.
Podcast for the people.
The Great Love Debate. It's the Great Love Debate.
The Great Love Debate. It's the Great Love Debate.
Hi again, everyone. It's Brian Howie. Welcome to the Great Love Debate, the world's #1 dating and relationship podcast. Since 2015, I am back here in the very fine studios of Pod Populi, podcast for the people. I'm at the one in Scottsdale, Arizona. Not to play favorites, it might be my favorite, and it is the full Scottsdazzle this time of year here. So I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be here for another reason. So recently, you guys know that I did my 10th anniversary show. I have done this podcast a long time. I've done the live show a long time. And I'm bringing somebody in here who has not been on this podcast in years, many years. She's been on my stage many times. So she was back there in the infancy, and she came in here and she said she had witnessed a iota of growth out of me, personal development and growth. She says, I seem fractionally better. She is the host of the very popular Cupid's Coach podcast. She is, what is that? She turns we to he to we to he.
Transforming me to we.
She transformed me to, she will matchmake you to death, maybe even literally. The lovely Julie Ferman. How are you?
I'm so happy to be here, Brian Howie, and one of your biggest fans.
Good.
Yeah.
There should be some fans left after all this time. We were talking a little bit that I brought up on a podcast that dropped before this one about whether dating was harder or easier. Why you believe that it is harder now. Why?
Dating is harder now because we're more insulated and isolated in our little bubbles, and we're really good at avoiding each other and hiding from each other and running when it gets the tiniest little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, there's enough stimuli without dealing with other people that we can get that makes us not want to fight through the ick.
Yeah,
the nervousness.
We're so used to solving problems instantly. You know, oh gosh, I'm a little tired. Let's just have a jolt of caffeine. Oh gosh, I'm a little bored. Let's watch our new thing on TV or Brian Howie's latest podcast. We want the instant fixes, and when it comes to love and human beings, the issues that are there, we don't have instant fixes unless we get really good at just shut up, be still, open up my heart, and listen.
Yeah. You have been in the dating business for, not to age you or date you too much, 30 plus years.
Going on 34 years. And I will tell you, you know me well enough to know this is true. I have a love-hate relationship with the business of dating.
Well, I know. When you put the business, and what do you hate about the business, quote unquote? And everything is sort of a bit, you could say that a restaurant is in the business of dating. A florist is in the business of dating.
That's right.
A chocolate maker, yeah.
It's when the interaction happens, the transaction, when the client, and I was the client, $1,450 I spent to meet, hopefully, somebody to keep. When there's that transaction and your expectation is that you're going to find love, and you're paying money for the hope to find love, it is nasty because I can't fulfill that expectation. If you paid me $10,000, which is what I charge minimum fee for personal matchmaking, you expect that I'm going to deliver something. And on those legal documents, you got to deal with the legal, what can I promise and what I can't. And what I can promise, if I choose to take you on, and first we got to have a consultation. I got to find out if you're batshit crazy or not.
Yeah, you want to know why you need me.
Well, I first thing I do is have a quick conversation with you over the phone and find out, okay, is he batshit crazy? Because I'm pretty good. 50,000 interviews in 34 years. I can pick it out. Then we're going to do a $300 consultation. We're going to look at real life people together, and I'm going to watch your face, and I'm going to see if you're batshit crazy or not. Do you only go for the hotties? Do you only go for the women who I know are a train wreck? And if so, am I taking you on as a matchmaking client? I'm not that stupid.
What can you promise them for $10,000? You can't promise them they're going to fall in love, right? What do you promise them? Opportunity?
Like I just took on a brand new client right now. It's not an easy client. She's and I'm one of the few matchmakers who will take on a female client, but for every 20 who think they want to hire me, I maybe will bring on one. They got to beg me, and I got to look them in the eye and say, I can't promise relationship, right? I can't even promise second dates, but I won't take anybody on that I don't feel like I can do a good job for. And if I don't think I can do 6, 8, 10, 12 good, solid introductions where she's happy to have met this person, he's happy to have met this person, they're real live people. If I don't feel like I can do it, I'll say, you know what, Brian, save your money. Let's work on your flirting skills. Let's do everything else first.
Give you the skills that you can possibly be your own matchmaker.
That's my boot camp for like $3,000, which you do the boot camp and you're earning your way toward the $10,000. But most people, I will say, don't spend the extra because you're not.
How do you do that? Because there has to be some, no pun, tough love for these people.
Yep.
You have to break down how they got to this point where they need some help.
Right.
And you said you can't tell them they're batshit crazy.
Right.
What words do you use? Challenging, difficult?
If you were in my hot seat right now and you were paying me $295 for an hour, which is an hour of your time, 2 hours of my time, because first I ran the search, that took me half an hour. Afterwards, I'm going to write you that email that tells you what you should do, given what I discovered.
Right.
So I would say, because I know you and you're my friend, I would say, here's the deal, Brian. The women you're going for are spot on. The kind of woman you're interested in is interested in you too. That means you're looking for a natural match. You would be a candidate for personal matchmaking. Let me tell you, if I think it should be with me, or if I think it should be with one of my colleagues who's actually really hardworking and has a really good, solid network, that might be the way I would advise you. Or it might be, Brian, get your head out of your ass. The women you're going for are not going for you. They're looking for your much younger brother who has the Ferraris, and your cars are not Ferrari. And do you really want to pay this woman $5,000 a month just to hang out with you? If you want a woman who looks like that, you're going to be paying. One of the girls said to me, Julie, you should know that I really like horses, and, horses are expensive, and I'm really, I need my Botox. And I said, what's it going to take? And this is my what's it going to take for a guy to have you be in his life? It's really looking like $15,000 a month. I mean, I have a lot of expenses. And if he wants me to be free to jump on a plane and go to the south of France with him, my horses need to be fed, and I'm not going to be training the way I normally do. So he's going to have to compensate me.
And you can't say no. I mean, because a lot of the women, so you're trying to match them up with women and who you think, a lot of those are professional women. A lot of those women and a lot of men, they want a wife and they want a travel companion. The older you get, the more somebody's life and somebody's freedom don't necessarily match up. And so they're basically saying to you, I want to find love, yes. I want a companionship, yes. But I also want somebody who matches my lifestyle, but I don't necessarily want to pay for her lifestyle without me.
Well, that's it. There are 3 things that I've determined that breed narcissistic tendencies. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not going to call somebody a narcissist, but I do see some narcissistic tendencies, and they tend to be hovering around extreme beauty, extreme wealth, power, like we see it among politicians. Mm-hmm. So for some reason, they think their shit doesn't stink because they have this money or they have the looks, and they're so rarely good catches, so rarely good at relationship. And if they ever are, they are the unicorn. And I see unicorns. The woman we almost had, I tried to get you to have dinner with us last night with this woman. She is a unicorn, lives right here in Scottsdale.
Scottsdale's tough. Scottsdale, I don't know how old this woman is that you had dinner with, but
she's younger than you, darling.
Okay, but is she younger than the guys want? That's the problem. If she's in her 40s here or 50s, a lot of guys here in their 40s, 50s, 60s, they believe they should and can go younger because it is that certain parts of the country are different.
You know why?
You can be 65 and go out with a 35-year-old, 25-year-old in Scottsdale. It's not going to raise eyebrows.
Go out with. But if you're really looking for a keeper, if you're looking for companionship, if you're looking for somebody to enjoy life together, a woman who is that much younger is going to be consistently unsatisfying.
Oh, yeah. And you're going to be unsatisfying to her if you're suddenly too old for her.
Yeah.
She's going to wake up one day and you're just an old man. Like, the gap can't be that big. And I tell these people all the time.
horrible.
You brought up the women. Why don't you take on, why is it different? If a woman comes to you and say, I want you to match me with the great guys, why is it different?
Yeah, I love my new female client. She's amazing. She and I will be friends forever. And I had to really trust her in order to take her on, because there's a reason why I'm not comfortable taking more than $10,000 from a matchmaking client. I am the only one as reasonable as that. But I like short-term programs. Either we hit the nail on the head, we have a great relationship, or, it was 3-4 months. We tried, we met a bunch of great people, but I don't kick them out unless they misbehave. If I've got a great referral 6 months down the road, 6 years down the road,
Right.
I am tracking her down, and I'm going to go ahead and give her an extra introduction. I actually care. But here's the reason why we're so much harder. I've got an introduction I really want to make for her. And I called the guy, made sure he's available, timing is right. I get his photos updated. I get his profile updated. A lot of, we're get on the phone, another 30-minute call together. And he's like, did you reach out to me because you've got a particular person you want me to meet? I'm like, yeah, I did. Do I get to see your profile? Yeah, you do. I'm going to send it over now. And I send it over, and I'm on the edge of my chair, because what am I hoping for?
You're hoping that what?
That he's going to give me a yes.
Well, isn't the guy, if she's attractive, isn't he probably going to give you a yes? No? I mean, if she's good looking.
But one guy's good looking, like my husband. He likes little blonde spinners, okay? Little blonde, cute little peppy golden retriever and a golden retriever is my spirit animal. So
Right.
he loves my type.
Okay.
Now, a beautiful, long, skinny Asian woman walks in, glamorous. That's not his type. If Kardashian curves walks in the door, not his type. He's not going for her. So,
Well, as I always say, and you've heard me say this before, if you're over 30 and you're still single, you have no type.
that's right.
'Cause your type's not working out for you. So it's what they think they like. Have you tried the Asian woman dish? Have you tried this?
Have you tried
they don't
the
know.
Asian
But
dish?
so back to the question of the women. Why is it harder for you to take on a woman than a man if the woman has the means to pay you?
Oh my God. If she has the means to pay me, she's really scary, because if she has if she has the means to pay me, then she's used to getting what she wants, when she wants, how she wants it. And here's some honest to God statistics. I'm working on I now have 37,000 registrations in my personal matchmaking community over these last 20 years. For every one yes I get from a Brian Howie, I will get 6 to 7 of these responses. Aw, Jewel, thanks for thinking of me. She looks great. She's not my cup of tea. Who else you got?
Okay, but that's the job. That's what they're paying $10,000
That's
for.
why it takes me at least 3 times as much time to serve a woman as it does to
Because
serve a
they're
man.
they're more likely to reject.
Well, here's the deal. As my sister says, as a woman, we only have a shot with a guy who thinks we're hot. And it's true.
Right.
It's true.
So
I have
taking
to
on
get
the
your
not
yes.
hot is hard.
Well, what's not hot to you could be perfectly acceptable to another guy. You guys are on a spectrum. If I determine that you're like a guy, there's a guy named Corey, worst client I ever took on in my entire life. And I can sniff it out. Anytime I'm working with a guy who has gotten to the point where his visual requirements have basically made her a thing, like if a guy uses the what word, oh, I'm not attracted to that. You need to show me what I'm looking for.
What? Oh, yeah.
Oh, I mean, the hair on the back of my neck right now. Because that kind of guy is, a woman is not a thing. She's not a human. She's a thing. And I can hear it. I can smell it.
Well, this both gives men credit, and this is also a bad thing about men. A very wealthy, powerful, successful woman. We'll take let's just say Oprah. A man isn't necessarily going to go for her just because of that.
No.
She still has to be attractive. So that's both, he still has to be attracted to her and like her. The women is the other way around. The money and the job and the power can make him attractive. That is a challenge, because that, for a lot of women, is so frustrating that they're like...
If she's beautiful and she's got money, forget it. just forget it. Who she should be dating is a really talented chef.
She wants creative. She wants a musician.
Well, the musicians, my very first wedding when I started my own matchmaking company is a musician and this beautiful, wonderful woman, and they had a baby, and the baby's driving now in college, and it's just so beautiful. But I haven't had, other than this one guy, Chuck is his name, I haven't had a lot of success with musicians, and I haven't had with gentlemen musicians, and I haven't had a lot of success with gentlemen actors.
Actors is a little different. Actors, you're trying to be somebody else for a living.
So here's the real problem. The reason why we've got all this, like the wealthier the community, someplace like Scottsdale, someplace like Boca, someplace like Beverly Hills, a big part of the reason why these wealthy men think they need a beautiful woman. It's the same reason a woman wants a wealthy guy, so they can say, oh, well, my boyfriend has his place in Aspen.
Yeah,
oh,
it's
well,
status.
my girlfriend has, she's 20 years younger and she loves me for who I am.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, I want to do the relationship side of this. I got to take a quick break because we got to pay for $10,000 matchmakers around here. I'm here with Julie Ferman. She's the host of Cupid's Coach. And we will be back right after this. And we are back. So somebody comes to you and, they're in their 40s, 50s, whatever. They've had failed relationships, obviously, just like everybody has. How do you determine, you might be able to determine how they are on a date. You might be able to determine, what they look like, what they do. How do you go backwards and say, how are you as a husband, boyfriend? How are you in a relationship? How do you determine that?
I love this. It's the reason why I do my boot camp, because we dig into it. In the second week of boot camp, it's the excavation. It's the deep dive into the history. So there are a bunch of workshops. And if you're in my boot camp, by the way, I will give you a free participant. You sit into my boot camp anytime you want. It's virtual. I would love to have you in class. What we do is it's 9 modules that are video modules. My son Kevin recorded it, or edited it. It's great. And then there's office hours on Thursday evenings for an hour and Friday mornings, men and women together, all ages. And so the second week is what we're in the middle of right now. It's the 4th boot camp, and it's the deep dive. And so I get this chance to say to you, okay, Brian, what's on your sheet about finances? What have you been happy to pay for in a relationship? What have you been unhappy to pay for?
But does that, and I think that matters, and money matters, whatever, but do you say, because a lot of people don't know the answer because they haven't thought about it. They're like, why'd you get divorced? Well, my wife was a bitch. They're always going to pass the blame. Why didn't this work? I just haven't met the right person yet. Like, you have to go in and say, what are you like 3 months in, 9 months in?
That's
what were
right.
you like when you became
That's
a dad?
right.
Were you like,
That's right.
And a lot of people don't know this. You're not trying to play therapist here, but you're trying to get them to admit stuff that they don't want to admit to you, because then you won't match them up.
Here's why I'm still excited.
Right?
Yes. Here is why I'm so excited to be doing this work after so many years. I will only work with somebody who's growth oriented. If they don't pass my test in that first hour-long Zoom consultation and show me that they're interested in learning, I don't want to work with them. I got a line of people looking to get into my boot camp, looking to book me for an hour. They have to beg me to take them on for matchmaking.
So if they say, like, I don't know, I've just been an asshole, you're okay with that?
Sure.
As long as they know.
Oh, absolutely. And the other thing is, I want to know all the bad stuff that happened in your relationships, and you're going to write it down. And I want to know, what was that person's part in it? And Brian, come on, let's be honest. What was your part in it?
Yeah, no, I can go backwards and do it all now. I'm a very evolved man. I don't know, but I don't know if a lot of people, because I do this and I have these conversations. A guy who's like, I've been buried in my career. I have 2 ex-wives. I haven't had it. Here's my money. Find somebody there to get them to do that, which I get that you have to do that because you can't screw over some girl that you match him up with and he turns out to be a psycho, or drunk or whatever.
I am a really good police cop in my community. And if anybody messes up, that's it. I just put somebody on inactive status because I wanted to give her a free introduction. Half of the introductions I do in my world are called mitzvah matches, and they're absolutely for free. And the people I look to provide free introductions to are the people who do those consultations and the people who are in my boot camp, people who've been my matchmaking clients, and their programs are completely and totally over, and they did not misbehave. Anybody who misbehaves.
Define misbehave.
That's it. Well, this girl accepted a mitzvah match. I go to the guy. He's done that consultation with me. He's not the guy who's going to pay $10,000, and I wouldn't want him to. He's not in that place financially, and he's not that hungry to want to spend that kind of money, but he would love a relationship. So I go to him, hey, what do you think about, I'm going to call her Carol. What do you think about Carol? Carol looks great. I would love to meet her. Actually, I gave him like 5 or 6 people to really study up on detailed profiles. He's like, okay, Carol's the one I'm really excited to meet. Mm-hmm. Now, I know Carol's a little bit out of his league, okay, because he didn't go for Janet, who I think would be spot on, but Carol's a little bit hotter, right? So he goes for her. I go to Carol. I say, Carol, how's timing for an introduction? She says, timing's great, Julie. Who are you thinking about? And I said, well, first, let's make sure your profile's up to date. Do you have any updated photos? It's been maybe a year since we've seen each other. She could have chopped her hair off, whatever. And she gets it to me and I say, okay, so Peter wants to meet you. Peter looks great. Love to meet him. Okay, good. It's a mitzvah match. I send them both the cell phone numbers, and in that mitzvah email, it says, don't screw it up. Don't screw it up. I don't care who calls who. I don't care who, because I don't set up all the details for the mitzvah matches. If you paid me $10,000, I am nailing down the restaurant. And I don't share last names, and I don't share I don't want you Googling each other. I don't share age, all that stuff. I set it all up. But mitzvah
you don't share
matches,
age?
I do not share age.
And they don't. Do you use your judgment on how old is too old or how young is too young?
I already know, because you filled out your profile and you've told me, okay, Julie, I'm 55. I'm open to meeting women from
19 to 26.
Okay,
will you shut that down? Or will you say that's too hard? What will you say?
No, if you fill out your profile, and you're 55,
right,
and you say you don't want to meet anybody over the age of 40,
I want to have 2 more kids. What if they say that?
Oh, that's totally cool, Brian. I'm not the matchmaker for you. You need to call the guy over at Model Quality Introductions, right? Because those girls, I hope you're going to have lots of extra dollars to spend, to keep this woman around and all this. It's so stupid. I'm real.
I get that, but there's a lot of women in their 20s who want to have the kids, and they can't get the guys in their 30s and 40s to focus or settle down because those guys have too many possibilities. Right. They might have to go for the guy who's 55.
And I will. That's great. So does he know that he's marrying his next divorcee?
Probably. Because a lot of the guys who are 55, they don't. I brought this up on a podcast recently. A lot of people who are divorced and at that age, they've given up on the idea of happily ever after. They look at life in 10-year compartments.
Right.
Can I have 10 years, 2 kids? It's fine. I write her a check at the end.
Yeah.
That's
right.
Maybe they're okay.
So I have no problem with any of that as long as we're open and upfront about it. So if the guy wants a woman much younger, so by the time you're in that consultation with me, you've already told me what your age preferences are. So in this case, I said, all right, I'll see if Carol wants to meet you. And he said yes, and she said yes. I shared the phone numbers, and the very next day, he writes me and he says, well, that was fast. That was the quickest relationship I ever had. She's too busy to even meet me.
Well, I get why the older guys want the younger girls, because it's easy for them to feel confident again.
And
but you're also going to feel old. You're also like, remember this song? Yeah, my dad used to like that song. Like nothing's going to make you feel worse than that.
But, we have to be honest about the status thing. When a guy walks into the gala and he's got Susie with him, Barbie, he's got Carol, whatever, and she's beautiful and all the heads are turning and he gets to be the guy with that, okay?
I think you can find that and she's 42. I do.
But wait, if you're 55 and she's 42,
I think she can look awesome. If you're 55 and she's 23, and somebody makes a mistake of, it's not worth the risk of that's your daughter, and it's not worth the risk of her friends referring to you by your age. Like you still going out that 55-year-old. I would never want to be that guy.
That's right. I love that we're talking about this. All right, so you're 55. And you said something about a 42-year-old. Does that seem like kind of like a nice age spread for you?
For me or for people? I think
you're a guy.
I'm a guy. I think that's the same. I believe in the old adage: the half the age plus 7 is the match.
All right, very good. So if this woman who's 42 has it all going on, why would she make the compromise and be with a 55-year-old man? I
don't think she thinks. I think emotionally we're in the same place, those two. I don't think those two are far off at all. I don't. The 42-year-old with the 45-year-old man, he still wants kids and she's going to feel old. That's the challenge of the women in their early 40s who are dating guys in their 40s, is there's a good chance that they're like, I either want a second family or I want a first family, and you can't have that. I tell women who are 42 that they have to go for the guys in their 50s.
They do.
Yeah.
If they, I always want to know the kid thing, the very beginning, the first thing. Who wants babies, who doesn't, who's a maybe on that. And one of the things that really bugs me is when a guy will say maybe, but he just wants to access the woman who's still young enough to do it. Of course,
because he doesn't want to rule her out. I don't blame that. But the hardest age to date for these women is who wants to date around the same age are the women in their late 30s and early 40s.
Right.
They have almost no shot of getting a guy who is in that sweet spot of 35 to 48 because he has unbelievable amount of choices.
That's right.
And if she has kids, they're probably very young, and he might not want to sign up for that.
He doesn't.
If he either has his own or whatever, or if he doesn't have kids, she's too old.
Right.
So she's going to, if I were a matchmaker, and I am not, and somebody came to me and she was 42, 43, I'm going to tell her she has to go 57.
That's right. She has to do it. And if she's really got everything going on, she doesn't need to make that compromise. If she has her own resources, she doesn't need to make that compromise. So I see these women having their own children.
Yeah, it's, and I get, God bless them.
It's such a mess.
Or she has I'm talking about the 43-year-old with a 4-year-old at home and a 6-year-old at home.
Oh, forget it.
It's hard
I
for her.
can't take that woman on. It's
now,
too difficult.
You brought up the guys who want something out of her league. You think men have been ruined by Adam Sandler movies? That somehow we see this goofy guy dressing badly and he could still get the beautiful girl. Like, you can't tell the guy not to shoot his shot if there are these so you're saying there's a chance. They want to chase the outlier. How do you tell a guy she's out of your league?
Well, it's real simple. We're on the Zoom call together, and you're looking at Barbie, and you're like, Julie, this is the perfect woman. This is exactly the kind of woman I've been looking for. And I'll say, I get it. I don't blame you at all. Can I show you who she said yes to last week? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to show you the Brad Pitt that she said yes to.
But he's like, she just needs a shot to meet me. Because men know, men think, he's like,
once she meets me.
Right. They just want the audition. They want the interview. They want the shot.
Yeah.
And that's what they're looking for. And that's the complaint that the men have now, regardless of if they're on Bumble or if they're going through Matchmaker, is the women will not give them a shot.
Well, and it's sometimes the matchmaker is in a position because she has enough inventory. I shouldn't call human beings inventory, but we are when we're commodities like that. The matchmaker has enough possibilities that she can get you that first date. But that woman isn't just going to have a first date with you. All the guys want to date that girl. And so she's going to be on the gravy train of nice dinners, and she's meeting all these great people, and she's having such a good time. Or, it's the young guy who's 45 who's got all these choices, having such a good time. Why, like my mother said, why buy the cow when the milk is free? Why commit and be in a relationship, which is really hard, when you could just keep dating?
Do you? And don't be offended out there, any of my little fellow listeners. I am very sympathetic to the plight of the short guy. I was one of you in high school. Do you charge more for shorter men? Because some matchmakers do.
I look at it this way. I like to measure something called romantic market value, okay?
I mean, stand on your wallet.
Well, if a guy's not that good looking, or he might be short, or he might be dweeby looking or whatever, but he has a really fun personality, that's what we call the Adam Sandler effect. Okay.
Right.
So, and a woman has the ability to develop attraction over time far better than a guy does. It is the biggest distinction between men and women in how we date. So.
Correct. So how can you tell the guy she's out of your league?
Here's what I'll say. Okay. So here's the thing, Brian. The 3 women you were really excited to meet, they're very popular. They have a lot of opportunities. I can probably get you the first date. I can't promise the second date. My recommendation to you is going to be, sure, meet Barbie, Carol, and Susie. Absolutely. Meanwhile, do I have your confidence and trust? I want to see what happens if, in addition to these 3, if you met your second tier, which is this person, this person, this person. I want to know how you feel after each date. And I want to know what the feedback is on you. Do you want to know the feedback if it's not so great? Do you have the guts?
Do you try and judge how funny they are?
Well, that's part of romantic market value. Yeah. If a guy's got a great fun personality and he's upbeat,
right,
as opposed to being, honest to God, I really, really struggle with people who are awkward socially, people on the spectrum. I try really, really, really hard. I love helping people out. That's people in my boot camp. They're working on their social skills. That guy is a better bet than, hey, baby, how you doing?
Right.
That
Who's
guy, right?
too overconfident. Now, a lot of guys who are very successful and very driven, they didn't work on their social skills because either they got married really young, check it off, I have a wife, I'm going to go back to work, or they just haven't had enough dates, or they hadn't. Is your job to give them, to try and identify, are they capable of having another layer to their personality? Or you're like, this is what I have to deal with and I work around it?
Oh, man. All somebody has to do to get into the sweet spot of my heart is show me that they're interested in learning, that they're willing to stretch, that they're willing to, my boot camp is all about, let's do everything else first. Let's not hire the matchmakers. Let's put the matchmakers out of business. Let's put the high-end division of my company out of business, because I would so much rather do introductions for free. It's way less pressure.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to be able to say to you, this is the post-date feedback. And you're going to say, well, how come I didn't get the second date? Well, I think I know, Brian, but you really...
Do they say, I was nervous, it was weird, can I get another shot? And can you talk her into that?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But what's more powerful is if you really wanted a second date with Susie and she kind of gave you, maybe she got on the phone, she said, I thought about it, Brian, I don't think there's enough, stuff here. So I'm going to release you to your dating mission with, but we're going to stay friendly. I want people to stay friendly. But if you say, Julie, how come I didn't get the second date? I think I know what it is. Well, what is it? Do you really want to know? Because it might be hard to hear. And then you're going to, if you ask me the second time.
Do they want to know?
You have to ask me the second time. And if you say, I really want to know.
Right.
Well, it might be hard for you to hear. I don't want you to be mad at me and go on Yelp and write me a bad review or something. But here's what it is. I'm going to make you wait for it. I'm going to say, well, she said you kind of reminded her of her father.
I know. That's right. Now, they have her contact information at this point, right?
Yeah.
So they're like, do you come out the bad guy? Like, Julie said you said this. Like, how much is the confidence where you were like, do you ask her, can I tell him why?
Well, I have to judge it on a case-by-case basis. If my client ever went back to Susie and said, I can't believe you told the matchmaker that I reminded you of her father.
Right.
That would be the end of my relationship with that man.
Do you have to tell him that?
I would say, that's unacceptable. I might give him a second chance, or I might say, we're done now.
Do you say that up front? You can't say anything to her, or we're done. I'm going to tell you in confidence.
I say from the very beginning, my welcome guide is 10 pages long.
Jeez.
After you and I do our $295 consultation and you think you want to be my matchmaking client, I'll say, well, that could be. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send you my welcome guide, which evolves. I update it every quarter. And this is an evolving kind of a system. And you got to be happy with everything about the way my protocols work. And you are going to, and here's my agreement, and I'll give it to you. You got 3 days to change your mind to get all your money back. After that, Brian, look me in the eye. Don't ask for your money back. I'm the honest to goodness, no bullshit matchmaker. And I don't do refunds. I'm giving you my time, my most valuable commodity. I can't promise relationship. I can't even promise second dates. Are you sure you want to spend that $10,000?
How do you avoid them calling American Express and say, she didn't give me what I paid for?
I will not take a credit card for a matchmaking program because people get emotional.
Right. And they blame you.
Because of a guy from Kuwait who paid for his $25,000 program on his black American Express card. I worked my ass off.
Right.
He only wanted Asian women. We did 15 introductions. And at the end of it, at the end of the 6-month time, after 15 introductions, he did a chargeback on his card. And you know what?
And a black card, they don't even question it. They want his business, not yours. Yeah.
And I am the business owner. So I had to pay that 5% on the way in to the Black American Express card. And then after we did the chargeback, I had to pay it again. So for the privilege of working my ass off for this guy for 6 months, I had to pay for 5% of $25,000. That's why I don't charge more than $10,000. Thank you very much. If it's less than $10,000 in the state of California, we would handle it in small claims court. And I am detailed and meticulous.
They don't want to go to small claims court over that.
So that's why
Yeah.
I don't have problems with clients.
All right.
I tell most of them, don't even think about hiring a matchmaker.
How do you avoid, and your husband's in the other room, so I don't mind even asking this, and I would ask anybody this, how do you avoid your personal taste not been like, I like that guy? Like, how do you put yourself in a position like, that guy's interesting to me? How do you get your personal taste out of it and decide what the most majority of women would do? See, I think that would be a challenge for me. I'm like, I think she's pretty, and people are like, you have weird taste or whatever.
Yeah.
And I can hook you up with whatever. How do you let that, I think this is a good guy because he makes me laugh?
Oh yeah, well, because that's where the art of matchmaking really is. Because the first thing I got to do is get under your skin, and if I can get in your head,
right,
and quickly, in a matter of an hour, maybe an hour and a half, because there's a half hour for free. There's emails, texts in between. I'm getting to know you, and I gotta trust that my assessment of who you are is accurate enough that I won't fuck it up and take on the wrong client.
Yeah. So it's accurate enough that most women would give this, maybe not marry him, but they'll give him an opportunity to find out.
Well, all I'm looking for is to be a good matchmaker to you. I just want to know that the kind of women that you think you should be dating are going to be interested in you. That's what I call a natural match. I won't take on a client who's looking for an unnatural match. An unnatural match.
What is an unnatural match?
It's so simple. You're looking for the girl who's not looking for you back.
Well, they're never looking for us back. That's why it's hard.
Well,
they're never looking for us back. That's the sport of it.
Maybe because you're looking in the wrong fishing
Maybe,
pool.
but I think that's what makes it special. I think that's fine that they're not looking for us back. You need to overcome that they're not looking for us back.
So part of my mission in the coaching that I do, the reason why I called my company from the very beginning Cupid's Coach, is because that little guy with the bow and arrow, he screws up all the time and usually points the arrow in the wrong direction. So why I'm so excited to do this work for so many years is that I want to help people make the right choices. So the reason I won't reveal age is because there's always an age bias. And the more money a guy has, the more market value he has, the more character, the more humor, whatever, all the stuff that matters, the more he thinks that he should have what he wants, who he wants, who he's attracted to, and that's impacted by culture and status. Oh, well, so maybe you're going after the 42-year-old, and we do if you're my client, the first 2 months of a 4-month period that we're working together, I'm going to give you what you tell me you want. And
I get that, but there's a lot of guys, because I know a lot of matchmakers, and they'll put stuff on social media or whatever, and either the guy or the girl is looking for somebody who went to a specific college, or they went to Ivy League college. And I'm like, who cares?
Right.
What if they went to Stanford? That's not an Ivy League college. And they're like, our job is to give him what he wants. I think your job is to talk him out of what he wants because he doesn't know. It's laziness out of him.
He wants to be partnered with somebody who's going to make him look good. Because when he says, well, this is my girlfriend and she went to Harvard and she...
Well, then that's an insecure man and you're screwing her over. But you're screwing her over to set him up with a guy like that.
I'm not making that match.
Right.
That's another
The guy who
matchmaker.
needs the woman to make him feel good, I think that's dangerous to match him up no matter what. You got to fix that.
Or a woman who needs a wealthy man so she looks good, or she needs a tall man so she looks good in her stupid shoes, standing there at the
In her
opera,
stupid shoes.
waiting
Yes.
for the Ferrari to
That's
pull
the thing
up,
too. That's
right?
these women who are 5'10" and they wear the heels and they want a guy 6'2". I go, the 6'2" guy wants to feel tall, so he's not going out with you. That's the point of being 6'2" is so you feel tall. Yeah. He's not going out with your 5'10" in your heels. He's going to choose 5'2".
So here's what I love.
Yeah.
This is what I love about a 4-month program. During the second half of the program, I get a chance to really make an impact because we've already done a bunch of introductions with women that were the it girls in your esteem. Mm-hmm. And you had a good time. She had a nice guy, but whatever. And then the guys almost always will come back to me and they're a little bit frustrated. And they're like, well, how come I'm not getting a second? How come I'm not? Well, because I think the bright, shiny objects have kind of captured your attention. So do you trust me enough to allow me to do some introductions with women that I think are really good for you, that what I'm looking for is shared values, shared passions, lifestyle compatibility, the kind of thing where you're sitting watching a program together and you're just holding hands and you just love being together. You cook for each other, you laugh together, you fart in front of each other, and it's all good, you know?
Do you ask how old the kids are?
It's very important in my new system.
Because that matters, right?
Oh my gosh. In my new system, I just made decisions about how I'm going to handle that. I'm going to have the birth year of the children so that it advances over time. Like it's hard to talk about with regard to technology.
The year, so it goes. So you're not just like, well, when she started in the program, she had a 12-year-old, and you have to go fix that.
So 5 years from now, the 12-year-old is 17, and there's all of that. And also, I'm going to have a really powerful mechanism where I'm going to be able to match men who want children with women who have frozen their eggs, or with I'm going to be asking men, are you open to fertility, creative fertility solutions, which means maybe the woman has eggs on ice. Maybe.
Most men are not.
Well,
because here's why, and people get mad when I say that. Most men understand those odds better than most women.
That's right.
Which is bad.
Right.
It makes it hard for the women. The women are like, oh, it's all cool. I froze my eggs. It's risky to the guy.
I know. But at least I'm going to be able to have the information.
Right.
Because very often what will happen is the guy's 52. He wants to have a family. He didn't get to do it. Or maybe he had a child with a woman who was a whack job and he never got to have like the family. Why? Because he picked the girl who looked like stupid Barbie. But, that's beside the point.
Poor Barbie's taking a beating on this podcast.
Barbie's taking a beating. But what happens is...
You need to check his sperm, too, by the way.
Yeah.
A lot of times they blame the woman. Yeah.
Exactly. So then I go to him and I say, look, I could take you on if you're 52 and you want children, if you're open to dating the woman who's already had a child, would love to have another, or if you're open to meeting the woman who would love to have a kid and has her eggs on ice. There's no guarantee, because I can't tell you how many men, Brian, I have who have always been holding out for the woman who's young enough to have the kids. And meanwhile, now it's 10 years later. Right? And now he's 52 instead of 42. I've got a guy who's 75 years old. He's a judge, okay? He's this Jewish guy. He's never been married. And every 5 years I check into him. I got a great woman who's 10 years younger than you. She'd love to meet you. But no, I'm waiting for that woman who wants to have kids. And finally I said to him, I've known you for 20 years. And still, you're waiting for the woman. She can't have children. I mean, she's just crazy. I should match him with the woman who came to me, and she's just gorgeous. One of the most incredibly beautiful women I've ever met in my life. I'm sitting at her incredibly beautiful home in Beverly Hills. I don't know where the money came from. She's got two of these little white Pomeranians on her lap, and she just looks so amazing. She's 45, wants kids, won't date anybody over the age of 45. He can't have children already.
Wait, she's 45?
That's right.
And you say, I don't care where the money came from. You better ask.
Well,
I think it matters.
So but she's just living in a dream
Well,
world.
a lot of women do that. They're 30 and they hold out, our friend, Lori Gottlieb?
Oh, yeah.
She wrote
I was in her book.
Okay. She wrote the Marry Him book. And she's like, these women wait for exactly perfect at 30 and they wait and then they're 41 and...
That's right.
It's not great.
So here's the cool thing about our weird world that we're living in. Nobody says people have to be partnered up anymore. Nobody says. Who says you have to be married? Who says you have to be? How do you feel when women say, well, gosh, how come you've never been married? So what? Neither is half of the other men out
No,
there
I
in
would
the
see
world.
that would be a red flag answer. I would say, and I've said this on this podcast before, why I've never been married, is because I never trusted my parents' love for each other, which means that I did not trust their love for me, which means I didn't trust the concept, and so I walled myself off and led this emotionally unavailable world. Owning that is a better answer than trying to be like, it's not that big a deal. I don't need a piece of paper. I mean, that's bullshit. You better own why you do. Okay, in the interest of time, I'm going to let you plug everything you want to plug and sell your services to the world. You've been on the show before. I'm not going to play worst date or first date with you because you've been married a long, long time. But I want you to tell this audience how you met your husband.
Let's set the stage. It was an Ethiopian restaurant. I was sitting by myself, crying over my beer, looking at the personal ads. I was 29.9 years old with half of one ovary left, okay? Dad had died. I'm working for the Ritz-Carlton Hotel Company. I've got the worst boss in the whole world, working 90 hours a week. I have no life. I had done personal ads 3 times in Kansas City, but I moved back to St. Louis where I'm from, and I'm opening up that Ritz-Carlton hotel with no life. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, I can't put a personal ad in the paper. What if my history teacher hits on me? What if the word gets out and my high school boyfriend says, oh my God, Julie Hardesty is doing the personal ads. That's what a loser
See, kids,
is.
you used to have to do personal ads.
Yeah. So I'm crying in my beer and I'm thinking, I can't do personal ads here. What the hell? I'm working 90 hours a week. How am I going to get this handled? I want to have children. I want to be married more than anybody I know. I see ads for dating services. I thought, okay, ripped the page out, ran home, called all 3 agencies. 2 of them were blind date matchmaking companies. I'm like, I've had enough surprises with personal ads. I don't think I need any more surprises. Let's at least go to the one that lets you see photos and videos. You could put the little VHS tape in the machine and look at the guy. I'm like, I was so excited. I couldn't wait to go in for my consultation. I go in for my consultation, and who interviews me is a guy named Julie Ferman, who owned the local franchise and also the Kansas City franchise. 44-year-old bachelor, nice Jewish boy, never, joined Great Expectations first and thought, wow, this is a good idea. How come I didn't think of it? Mm-hmm. But then he realized it's a franchise. So he puts together the franchise, goes across the country, expected to open up the place and then leave, and he loved it. He was having so much fun interviewing people. The reason I got to have the interview with Julie Ferman is because I was a Gil lead. Now, a Gil lead was a sophisticated person that was going to be maybe a tough close.
Right.
So he was just only interested in my money. So he talks me into joining, maxed out both of my credit cards, and I later flirted with him and asked him out, dragged him down the aisle. That's how it happened.
So he ate where you don't eat where you sleep. Whatever the phrase is, he did. He scraped the good one off the top.
No, I grabbed him.
Oh, you grabbed him?
I grabbed him because I knocked on the door after I got my photos and videos done, and I finally started getting able to access to the library, started picking people, and it was Slim Pickens, Brian.
And here we are 30 plus years later.
Yeah, so I flirted with him.
Then you basically got in the business.
Yeah, so I worked for him. I got pregnant. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to have kids. Got pregnant. So Gil and I got engaged in 5 weeks, married in 5 months, pregnant 2 months later. That boy is 32. And then the other one came along 2 years later. So I worked for Gil through 2 big pregnancies. They just threw me in with all the girls who wanted marriage and babies. They said, well, it worked for me. And then he sold his companies, and I started mine 20-something years ago in L.A. And now 30
thousands of happy couples later, here you are.
1,300 we know about. And no, we've had divorces, but no murders that we're aware of.
Well, the day's not over. All right. Tell everybody where they can find you.
JulieFerman.com. It's free. It's private. Men and women of all ages are welcome. And if you live in Southern California or if you live in New Mexico, those are my 2 hubs, then I will, as long as I still have the bandwidth to keep doing this, I will give you your first 30-minute call for free. You just got to fill your profile out and I'll do it. And then you can do a consultation with me for $295. You can do my boot camp. And then maybe I will allow you to think about doing matchmaking with me. But first, you got to earn your place in my heart.
There you go. Tell people about your podcast.
The Cupid's Coach podcast, produced by Brian Howie.
There you go.
I am so happy I do my podcast. That was my favorite thing. And now the boot camp, I don't know which is my favorite.
Yeah, no, I do. I produce, hundreds of other podcasts besides that. You're one of the first. You're one of my favorites, and you're one of the most popular. I give you credit for that. It's one of the top podcasts, especially in this ecosystem in the world. You were awesome as far as us. Like, share, follow, please review. Not just this podcast, but Cupid's Coach podcast. After all this time, your reviews still mean a lot, not just to me, but in the podcasting universe. Shoot us an email, greatlovedebate@gmail.com. If you have questions, thoughts, comments for me, for Julie, for anybody else, do that. I don't know if this show drops in time. Maybe. Check out our live tour schedule for our 10th anniversary show. I think it drops out. I think you missed it by the time this drops. I don't know. 10th anniversary show. If you listen to it on the day it drops, Boca Black Box Center for the Arts, Boca Raton, Florida. Tickets on sale, bocablackbox.com, greatlovedebate.com. 10th year. Julie was on our stage back in the way, way, way beginning memory time when we were just floundering around.
It was like the Jerry.
It was like you've been on stage 7 times. It was like the Jerry Springer show back in the day, but it's much more evolved now. We've gotten better because, as always, at the Great Love Debate, we never stop making love. See you next time.